Yes, we are now. Sarah's back. Okay. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for joining us again. To all of you, yes. Okay, so we'll begin the opening. And what I had just said is that I'm going to actually read the description this morning because it just felt like it would support our conversation as we move forward. So the title from Eco Governance is Nature's Dreaming. And the subtitle that I added to that is the realization through remembrance of pure potentiality. And part of that pure potentiality, and here's Vika. Good morning, Kavika.
Morning.
So the
Good
realization through remembrance of pure potentiality is making it real. Pure potentiality from the inside out, as well as being supported from the outside in. And as we all know, there is no inside and outside. However, we've got that piece that we're dealing with here in physical form. So the description, and just, I invite you to close your eyes and hear this deeply. Nature is dreaming humanity awake. Through the cosmic mirror of nature and the elements, all in collaborative reciprocity and complementarity. Humanity's remembrance of our original agreements, our sacred purpose, is being activated every day. With this activation, the unique divine potential with which we were each gifted in the origins is being activated, that we may awaken and remember who we are. We have everything, just like the mother has everything we need to thrive and is more than happy and willing to give it to us. We have everything we need inside us. All we have to do is activate that memory. That's it. And then to complement, well, actually, let me just, before I go too quickly, we are going to, this is part of the opening. But does that spark anything in anyone that any of you would like to share? I thought it might. Mark.
Well, I'm kind of thinking, you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Right. So just listening to that, I'm kind of thinking, should the title have been less nature's dreaming and humanity's dreaming? Because have we not been talking all week long that the way we think and even the way we feel, our emotions, have an effect on the reality and the natural world around us? I mean, I've seen proof how human thinking and emotions can actually affect the weather. You know, I've seen clear, sunny skies summon forth rain clouds because a large group of humans started arguing with each other. I've seen it happen. So, and dreaming definitely, like I've lost count of how many motivational, inspirational videos I come across saying, before you go to sleep or right before you wake up, which apparently there's like this tiny window where you can actually affect not only the way you're dreaming, but in turn, your reality. So that's why I'm saying, does nature have that consciousness as well? Because it seems, do we have more power over that than nature dreaming, or is nature on the same level of us that her consciousness can manipulate the reality. I'm wondering that ever since I heard the phrase nature's dreaming. Is it similar or is it different?
Well, there's a bit of a double entente. There's two kinds of dreaming. There's the dreaming when we're asleep, and there's the dreaming of the illusion as a living, waking experience. And there's also maybe a triple entente. There's also the dreaming of, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream. There's that level of it as well. And so knowing that all three of those levels are there, the dreaming that I think was coming to me when I didn't, anyways, sorry. My mind just had a little sidetrack there, and I can't go both places at the same time, so it's going to have to wait. The dreaming, until humanity wakes up, we will not be able to support nature. And nature's dream, like Martin Luther King's dream, is for humanity to wake up. And she is doing what she can to support us. And nature, the whole universe for that matter, the whole cosmos, is holding space for that awakening to happen. And doing what can be done, given that we have free will and we make our own choices. And it's like, oh man, they're doing that again. I imagine they must say that a few times, but so that was the thinking with it. And I agree that humanity is dreaming. We're dreaming
Our
the
reality.
illusion of separation. And
as you say, nature wants us to wake up. And I think as harsh as it is, I think how she's waking us up is through the natural disasters, through the floods, the volcanic eruptions, and the earthquakes, because she's tried the nice way. We didn't listen. So
she's
now
in a
she's
tough
got
love mode. Yeah.
tough love. Tough love is Mama Earth, Gaia, Pachamama.
And it's time for that. And she knows it. There were 3 classes ago, I can't keep them all straight, but I said that Mother Earth was on her deathbed. And her mother, the spiritual mothers and fathers, came to her and said, what are you doing? Why are you letting your children destroy you? You have a say in this. We don't give the kids free reign forever. and they said, you must do something about this, or we will. The universe was saying, we will step in.
She will fight back. If we don't wake up, she's going to fight back. She's not going to be punched or slapped around like an abused mother.
Right. She's been desecrated in every part of her being, and she is in pain from that. And it's time for her to take her power back. And we help her when we take our power back. We feed her. We feed that process that is happening for the feminine to be reconsecrated and honored on this planet. So yeah, there's so many levels of all of it. Yes, Sari. Oops, you're muted still.
Oh, I forgot. I'm just struggling with the word she's fighting back, and I'm also remembering this recent message, like through the Kogi, that felt
Thank
so.
you. Yes.
Because she was actually saying, or humanity restores the balance, so she can cure herself, get back into balance and healthy. And we have a time for that, very short time now. And or I will find my resources, or actually the words that I remember. And what I found so beautiful, and that's also how I know Mother Earth to be, there is no fighting involved, it's just a necessity.
You're right.
Yeah,
It's a response. Yeah,
yeah,
you're totally right.
So that's a very different energy, because
Mhm.
otherwise we get again into this thing of like there's like we humanity have been treating nature as our enemy, something you need to conquer. But she's not doing that. She's very different in her energy. It's simply unconditional love, and what needs to be done needs to be done. If she can't survive, then there's no use anyway. Not for us,
Right.
not for her.
Right.
So it's simply, it has to be done because we are under nature's law of reciprocity, as you say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, because our language is so important. Remember, I said every thought, every word, every action is sacred because of the power it carries. And, we talk about, people that we know who are, fighting cancer and, all of these things. And, we get so used to a certain level of language and certain terms that have become common. And that's part of breaking out of the programming, is changing our languaging. And so she may be, in one sense, in the sense of somebody fighting cancer, that we would use, she's fighting for her life, but she's not fighting for her life. And she's responding to the fact that life is being dishonored. And in a tough love way at this point, because it's the only way. I mean, I said this before, but how much has to happen? How obvious does it have to get before people start seeing it? And I'm sure that she's scratching her proverbial head saying, what is it going to take? And she's learning that. She's finding out. She's amplifying her response every time it's not heard. It's like Kavika said yesterday or the day before, that when I spoke softly, I wasn't heard. And I spoke with oomph, and I was heard. And so sometimes we have to do that. Kavika?
Yes, I would like to add something to this when it comes to a book I read, Deer and Thunder, with Arkandu Shwana. He is a Peruvian shaman and also the Native American, so he has that too. And he said something about that Earth is evolving and she needs us to evolve.
Yes.
So either she will take the blood of the war, it's also helping her to evolve, or like a prayer and dancing and creative. So in either way, she will evolve.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of our choice, how we want to help her to evolve. So, I mean, we can speak about her deathbed, but that's also a transformation. So
Yes.
it is a transformational journey for all of us. And death isn't the end. There is always a new beginning.
Yes.
So
That's beautiful.
it's also, it's I find it a creative way to look at it. Like either she's taking our energy through pain and suffering, or like and destruction, but that's actually nourishing her also.
Mm-hmm.
But it's our choice. Like we can do it the easy way.
That's so true. And, I've known that for a while as I look at all the negativity that's happening, and I'm seeing it motivate me. I'm seeing it wake me up. And, but I hadn't extended that to Mother Earth. So thank you for that. For some reason that I was thinking it was more, I don't know. I just hadn't extended that. And usually I'm an extender. So that's really beautiful. Thank you. To her process is no different, right, than our process, that what we see and how we respond, going back to H plus R, S plus R equals O, how we respond matters. But there is a process that is happening, and it is going to happen. We have already passed that phase, that ring past not. Oh, Susan just put a YouTube link to the message from the mother on the chat. So if you're interested in that, take it. Thank you, Susan.
That was the message from the Kogi. The mother through the Kogi to us. It's only 5 minutes, but in that, well, first, like, nature doesn't have to remember that it's one with itself. The humans do. So all of nature, this goes back to like the dreaming, I don't think nature sees itself as separate, but somehow we did. So it's waiting. If it's dreaming us to wake up.
Exactly.
Not us dreaming that. Yeah. And then the message from the Kogi, the word juice was, the mother said she can come back using the laws of nature to recuperate.
Yeah.
That she's never suffered so much as she has in the last 1,000 years. Or we can work with her to help her heal, and she won't have to take the laws of nature into her hands as much. And if she does have to go that way, she's not trying to hurt us, but she has to recuperate. That was the term, recuperate. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Sari, did you want to say something else?
Yeah, what quick I was just sharing. I heard this before, and I also read Arkan Lushwala. Probably it's from his third book. I don't know, but I'm always wondering about like this idea of Mother Earth getting nourished or from the blood of war, and I wonder, because the way I understand it, but maybe I haven't read this piece, it's like because of the reciprocity. So I understand, like, it was important for women to bleed on the earth because our blood contains all the information that she needs, because everything, it's a whole web. Our bodies are part of the nature. So what we excrete, blood or urine or sweat, everything, it's like they say, it's a closed system. Our bodies are part of the closed system. And so the way I understood it was like, okay, so when we offer our blood, like with the menstruation, then she receives that information back, because everything needs to be in communication. So there will be a response, because everything is always in evolution. So, and I call it like the divine intelligence, that it's always working for the best. It's always in evolution for the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I see this thing of the blood offering, when it's an offering, like you give it deliberately and in honor of being part of that cycle of life. Yeah, so I understand this message a little bit differently. Like, so there was also in another gathering ceremony with many elders gathering, the Kifa gathering. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's beautiful. It was also a vision where people come of a person called Tigre Perez, and of the mother calling all her children to pray together in the Kifa, in the sacred space that used to be in many cultures all over the world, apparently, which is like circle in the earth and sometimes covered with the whole peak. And so one of the people who is she's like also a mother of this Kiva gathering, which sort of travels all around the world. And she was speaking like, so if we, she sort of turned it around, also with this blood thing. She said, if we women start to offer our blood again to the earth, then the wars will cease. And I don't know exactly how that works, but in sort of a magical way, it makes sense, just like any ceremony makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because it's a deliberate offering, and it's a deliberate coming into connection of women with the earth. Yeah, so I'm just sharing what goes on in my mind, because I find the wording a little bit difficult to align in my feeling of how it's all about reciprocity. And yeah, and another little piece to that is that recently I heard, I listened to a lot of channelings, and there was somebody, or through one channel, was sharing that we are actually the consciousness of the earth, like you were saying so beautifully. So indeed, like, is it nature dreaming us? Are we dreaming the nature?
It's both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if we're not awake, we're dreaming.
And we can dream deliberately, as you say, like, I have a dream. Yeah. So that is because we're always creating. So you might as well do it, you know, with a very nice purpose,
Yeah.
with good intention.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was thinking the conversation might go. We're still, this is all inclusive in the opening, but the dream and the longing is where we want to go next, talking about that, and what is that dream, and what is the longing that is deep within us, and we can dream that into reality. If we can lucid dream and make choices in our dreams that support what we want, then we can do it awake. So the lucid dreaming is just showing us that it's possible. Yes, Martina.
Hi, I just want to sort of add on to what Sari was saying. Definitely agree, offering your menstrual blood to the earth is a very powerful ritual. I do it with my fruit and veg garden, because it feels like as I'm taking what the earth is giving to me, whenever my period comes around, I'm saying thank you so much. Here is a thank you gift, some lovely blood, which is also good compost. So it's like sustainable cycle. There is actually another ritual you can do, particularly if you're still in your menstruational cycle, but I think this will work if you're going through menopause or anything like that. Basically strip yourself naked from the waist down, and like cover and like keep yourself warm with a blanket, but put your tush then on the ground, and if you are menstruating, just let the blood flow.
Wow.
I know it sounds a bit icky, but I've done this myself and I've found it very powerful, both physically, because I get really hit hard when I'm menstruation, mega cramps, heavy blood flow, the works. And I think last time I did it, I say it took me 15 minutes to actually feel better. The blood flow reduced, the cramps completely faded away. It was like I had just taken a very
Wow.
powerful painkiller, and that in itself is a form of grounding. I get, where they say take your socks off and ground. I find this is even more powerful, particularly for women. So I highly recommend doing it, preferably in the summer and the springtime. Don't do it during the winter.
You'll freeze your tush.
You'll freeze your butt to the ground. So yeah, but yeah, it's worthwhile. And as I say, you don't have to be menstruating. I'm 100% convinced this is hugely beneficial if you're past the menopause stage. Either way, it's a great way to ground in and really connect with the earth.
And done in that way, the blood and the intention is an offering to the mother. It's done intentionally. It doesn't have to be a major ceremony, but it is ceremonial to do that. It's a beautiful, beautiful offering that she so appreciates. And yeah, I don't know what the difference, I mean, the intention of war, I suppose that there have been some wars that were really trying to eradicate evil to promote the good. There have been maybe a few of those. But usually the intention with war is not so positive. It's about killing, killing life. And I know that I was traveling in a motorhome. I wasn't driving, thank God, but I was going from Maine to Florida. And it was the first time we had taken this route through the Blue Mountains in Virginia, West Virginia, that area. And we were just going along and was talking to the driver, and, everything was fine. And suddenly I started sobbing, and I sobbed uncontrollably for 2.5 hours. And then it just stopped, and I was exhausted, but it was like, whew. I mean, I felt cleansed. And so we got to Florida, we met a bunch of people at a campground, and we were talking to them, and they were asking us what route we had taken, and we told them. And I said, and the strangest thing happened. And I told them what I just told you. And they said, so where were you when that happened? And my partner was more familiar with that because I was just out of it. But he's the one who said what route we were on and where we were when all that was going on. And the people said, oh, you were on the Trail of Tears. And I felt it. I mean, I can't tell you how strong it was. Every cell in my body was just weeping.
Why was it called the Trail of Tears? Did they explain that?
Oh, yes. And in American history, this is difficult for me to talk about, but the native people who were here when the white people came were initially, the first year, maybe two, in some areas were appreciated because they helped the white people learn how to survive in a wild world. But very soon after that, they got greedy and just wanted the land and wanted the resources, and they started killing off tribes. And the Trail of Tears is a whole area in the Shenandoah Valley where tribes were just massacred. And it happened all over the United States. It's happened all over the world. The indigenous peoples, even the Kogi and the all the tribes, the 4 tribes that are working together to help humanity remember, have had to go further and further up into the mountains to survive because the civilization is encroaching on them. Yeah.
So you could say, as well as your tears, perhaps you were channeling the energy that was left because, like, as you said, massacre.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. And if you're empathic like us, like, God, do you feel it? It's both a gift and a curse. You kind of, okay, is this me or is this someone else channeling their sorrow through me?
Yeah.
Well,
it was helping to transmute the pain of the mother. I didn't know that until after the fact, but it was definitely transmuting it through me. because I did feel, as I said, I was exhausted because it was a deep cry. I mean, it was intense, but I felt much calmer afterwards. And so I know that she did too. So the blood of war, some of those battlegrounds, I think, do leave scars. It's scars. I mean, when I think about every scar that I have, it has helped me to understand something that I wouldn't have understood. And so it helps me actually to be able to choose to be more of who I am instead of what the Western world would have us be. So it's all beneficial and not always positive. There's a, that fine line. So as we go into a deeper meditation, I just want to, if I can remember how to do this. There we go. I'm going to share my screen and have you look at this picture. I don't know if it'll do to you what it does to me. Sorry. So I'm sharing it from the beginning. Okay. So, and the quotation that I found to go with this picture: when one tugs at a single thing in nature, he finds it attached to the rest of the world. And the dreaming, I mean, this little pure innocence, waking up from a dream and touching the light, touching the morning sun. Phew, it affects everything. I'm getting chills right now. It's just such every time I look at this picture, I get chills. And even the little, I guess it's a teddy bear. I can't quite see what he's got there, and he's in nature, and nature is responding to his innocence. So what I invite you to do is to, given everything that we've just talked about and the description for today of dreaming ourselves awake with nature's promptings through the reciprocity and complementarity of nature before us in every moment. So I invite you to go into that place of pure innocence within yourself. The little girl, the little boy. Thank you for being here, David. I don't think I welcomed you when you came in because I was talking, but thank you. So go into that pure innocence within you. It's still alive and well. And breathe more life into that inner child who knows that they can touch any part of the universe and make a difference. That part of us who is still in awe of the magic in life, who still believes in unicorns and expects to see one any day. Breathe into her or him. Acknowledge their presence in you as you. Acknowledge the presence of this creative power of innocence within you. Remembering that this creative power of innocence comes from the womb of creation in its pure state, in her pure state. Visualize the innocence of your inner child. With deep, deep gratitude. And find the place in you who can love that innocence and embrace it with the most warming, welcoming hug you can imagine. And ask your inner child this frequency of pure innocence, what it needs to thrive. Listen. And respond with loving, compassionate gratitude, honoring this need. Then whatever that response was, whatever the need is, you as an adult know that you can breathe that in and become that frequency and breathe it right into this pure innocence within your inner child and offer it. Taking all that you need in the process and giving the overflow, filling wherever it's needed with this frequency of this quality. It's going into every part of you, filling into the space between the subatomic particles as all of the particles are overflowing with it. You are that. You are becoming that. And you feed that into those places where the longing is for this quality, whatever it is. Let it disperse throughout you and be magnified by your intention, by the support of the cosmic innocence, of the innocence that still lives in the mother herself. The innocence that is the potential within the womb of creation to which we all have access. When that feels complete, I invite you to honor the child within you at every age. And notice if he or she is feeling different and if the energy of innocence has changed within you, if it feels amplified, more open. What changes have happened, if any? Continue flowing that gratitude, that river of grace through you, and feed this frequency into all of your waters. Feel it, watch it circulating, flowing through you, nurturing and nourishing you in every way you are needing to be nurtured and nourished. And know that that water is cleansing you at the same time. Amplifying the purification of the innocence and purity on which you are focused in this moment. When you're ready, and you feel complete in this process, in this moment, in this intention, open your eyes with awe and see the world, see yourself through those eyes of pure innocence. We call this forth with a pure heart, and we know that it is done. It is done. It is done. It is done. Our innocence is reawakened. And we are awakening from this dream into the reality of unity, unified love, unified magic that comes from the honoring of love in all of its forms, in all of her faces. Blessed be, and so it is. Okay. So I'm just going to open to see if anyone wants to share. I wanted to leave this photograph up for just until everyone was back, so that you see it again, maybe even in a deeper way after that meditation. And let this imprint stay with you. So I'm going to stop the share so we can all see each other better. And yeah, how you're all doing. Does anyone want to share anything that you experienced there? Okay, Sari, of course.
Good share. Wow, your meditations are very powerful. First want to say that.
I love the movements that you do.
Because it feels so good. Yeah, it's directly the feeling that everything becomes like new. it's like pure source. Yeah, pure innocence is pure source. It's yeah, it's just dreaming everything into new, you know?
Yes.
No past, no future, no blame, no shame, no whatever. It's just new. Like, you know, like the, yeah, source point. Difficult to describe, but very, very beautiful. Yeah, amazing. I was connecting, I think it was Roxanne sharing the net of light, because I also work with the net of light with spiritual grandmas. We come together, and so bringing this, and that indeed this picture, like she was saying, looks like the net of light. It's like, because it connects everything. It's like the web of life, and bringing that innocence, and then with intention. Just my intention first went to places of war, just like remembering, like we are all this innocence, we are all this pure source. And it felt in my own being, it feels like, and then I feel my pure soul. It's more, yeah, it's like I feel my soul energy, which is pure. I can't say it any different. So thank you, super beautiful. So it's such a nice remembrance of, you know, I can like also through the meditations before, like from the place of love, I connect to the love in the other people, and I receive that, you know, and from the place of tenderness, which really made me cry yesterday. I was in a dance ceremony, so I couldn't join, but it's amazing because indeed it's another perspective. So it's just, you know, perceiving everything differently, but also then sending out a different energy to the person or the tree that I'm connecting with, or the place that I'm connecting with. So powerful.
And I do want to say that because of the nature of the conversation that we had yesterday, in parts of it, I did not make that video public. And if you would like the link to the video, just let me know and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that will be really, yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Sarah?
If it was acceptable to everyone, I'd like it to.
Yes, of course.
Is
If you
that...
put your email in the chat,
Yeah, thank you.
I'll
I
be
would
happy
like
to-
to stay in touch. I really would. That was one of the things I was going to say, because I can't come tomorrow, but this really has been very powerful. Sorry, I feel like I'm leaping in a bit. I can come in later.
Okay, so yeah, put your email in the chat. And while this is up, I'm just going to say, because there's so much more to say and I don't want to interrupt that flow. But since you said that, Sarah, there has been a request to continue gathering. And if anyone is interested in that, also put that in the chat so that I know that you would like to continue. And we can talk about the logistics of that once we know who's involved and what schedule, what we need to accommodate for schedules. So I'm certainly open to that.
Wow.
Okay. So, and Sari, before we move on to see what somebody else, I was just wondering if you got a quality that your innocence needed and what that might be, because that's really fascinating.
I think the innocence is the quality.
Well, it is.
Yeah, nothing else came. It's just, I just so like what I just said. Like yesterday, I was more into the love. This innocence is also love, but it's just slight shifts of, you know,
Nuance.
and then, yeah, nuance of this oneness, which is beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share? Oh, Vika.
Yes, so the quality I received was safety, that my innocence needs safety. And part of that, or like the full safety, is actually me being in the body. So if I'm up in the head or if I'm running around, that creates unsafety for the innocence in me.
Huh. And so
it's
how
all
did it feel when you pulled that innocence of safety in and fed that to your whole being?
like peace,
Ah,
peace and joy and spaciousness, so that you have to give it space so that so it can just be there and be creative.
beautiful.
And it's so much about sexual energy for me that's
Mhm.
innocent and beautiful.
Yes, yes. Well, it becomes that as we grow into adulthood, yes. Because it's in
Yeah.
the second chakra. That's something I've always found fascinating, is that our reproductive organs are in our second chakra, a chakra that is where trust is critical, where creativity lives within us. It's the energy of our womb is the same as the energy of the womb of creation. And so that innocence and purity and trust is critical to that. And male reproductive organs are in their base chakra, which is all about survival and grounding and security. And so the difference between how women see that sexual energy and how men see it is explained by that. And having that understanding can be really beneficial when you're in relationship. So,
Yes, and continuing from yesterday, I'm sorry,
yeah, go on.
because I was a lot speaking about sexuality and pornography and things around that. The way I feel it, like I have been clearing my sexual energy for almost 20 years through dancing and realizing that my sexuality is beautiful and nobody is entering my womb unless they are innocent. So even if my partner is engaging in pornography, when he comes to me, then there is no room for anything else than innocence. So he needs to be in his innocence. So in that sense, I'm taking that wisdom with me, that I can be in a relationship with a man who is doing all those things. But like when he's with me, it's just like it can't. And he's also speaking about it with me, that I can't be anything else than pure and innocent when I come to you, because you are so pure. So my sexuality is that, I'm like, as a dancer, it's been cleared. So, and also your dream yesterday about the Jesus figure who was eating that jelly
Poison.
pink thing, the poison. It's a bit like that. Like I have enough love within me to transmute what is not of that. So there is no room for it. So yeah, it's been a huge kind of transformational week for me in relationship, and to stand with my truth, hearing yours and respecting yours and finding mine. So
Oh,
yes.
oh.
And another thing, I'm living on a volcanic island,
Wow,
and
lots of energy under there.
yeah, and I'm contemplating on this, that all the planets are the children of the sun. So even the earth is the child of the sun. And I have the privilege to have witnessed a volcanic eruption. And it's just pure innocence in that fire. And it's just so magical. So, and dangerous at the same time. So innocence doesn't mean that it's not dangerous, or like something about that.
Right. You're not afraid of
Nature
it.
is innocent, and it has natural catastrophes and things, but it's at the same time magical and beautiful. So there is the innocence of the child within that. So
How
yeah,
beautiful.
thank you.
And your purity is shining brighter now than it was before. I mean, clearly I saw that purity in you right from day one, and it's glowing now. So oh, congratulations. I can't whew, chills are flowing.
Yeah, it just feels so beautiful to be in this supportive, because we need that support. Like, even if we have it, like when we come together like this, it gets amplified. So thank you so much for holding this sacred space of
Oh, thank you for being here and being so open. Yeah, for all of you. I'm so grateful to each of you. Sarah, you would like to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to. It's so beautiful, Kika, what you were sharing about the innocence, because that I had that same experience. I was just these different levels of perspective, because I was sharing with my group of with which we do the net of light. I was sharing like the volcano erupting is just pure love, it's just pure love. So it's the same experience basically. And yeah, because the earth, in her unconditional love, there is no there is just the unconditional love, and it has many shapes. It can have the shape of an earthquake and a volcano erupting, and it can have the shape of floods, but it's never meant to harm or to whatever. It's just who she is. It's her nature, and we came here to live in this nature. Yeah, as souls, we came here to. So, we should do it then also.
What a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you both. Learn to love more deeply. Yeah. That's the process. Learn to love so deeply that we become it. So that every response is a loving response, always. Yeah.
Learn to love more deeply that toxic people no longer affect us or even interact with us. And then we shoot up, and we're filled with so much love. Like we're literally like a supernova that we are reality around us. Like we're literally turning torrential rain into glorious blue skies and sunshine. We're filled with so much love and light that we could send our attention towards polluted water and make it crystal clear. Truly believe that is possible. It was possible. It is possible. There are people in this world using the love frequency to literally alchemize. Yeah, we got to see ourselves as alchemists. God. Love is our tool of alchemy. We're turning lead into gold with the power of love.
We are. And that, oh yeah, that's where we're headed. I mean, that is what is opening up to us now in this remembrance. Remembrance is everything. Until we remember who we are and embody that truth, we don't have access to that, because it is powerful. And too many times in the history of humanity, that power has been taken advantage of and used not for good, but for self. And so we have to be fully awakened before we can access that, because what we can do with that is immense. And there's a fail-safe kind of a system of checks and balances inherent in the universe to keep us from, I mean, the technologies, look how many technologies have been used to destroy life.
Deborah, you're just
having a big aha moment.
Well, it just came into my head, like you're literally saying the universe has ways of stopping us from fucking up, pardon my language. The best example of that was the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, literally, like one theory is, if you go fiddling around in the internet, you may find this, that some sort of craft came in and sort of short-circuited every single nuclear missile in Cuba. So if that didn't happen, and if the person came along and pressed that red button, God knows where we'll be. So it's kind of like what you're saying. The universe has ways to stop us from hitting the brink of no return.
And has
fucking
been
up.
doing that.
Yeah, it sends its angels in many shapes and forms, and not all of them have wings, but it does. And that's just one mega example. But yeah, if you look, you will find numerous examples of, it seems, yeah, of what you're saying. So,
There are stories of planes. I don't remember now if it was World War I or World War II, whenever Padre Pio was here, and there were planes going to bomb cities, innocent people and everything. And Padre Pio appeared in the sky in front of the planes that were on their way to do that. And all of the pilots saw him, and they all turned around and went back. They didn't do the mission. So it's all there for us. There is a fail-safe, there is a protection, there is
we're not alone. We're not alone in protecting. There are
no
powerful cosmic forces making sure we don't fuck it up. They can't exactly interfere, they can't come and hold our hand and do it for us, because they know that will interfere with our evolution. But we're not alone. We're not alone in doing this, and that is very powerful mindset.
And when we tune into that unity, then we have that energy comes through us, and we can use it from that pure state. That's why I always say we speak this with a pure heart, and I'm holding that intention always. And from that pure place, we are heard, and we are given what we need to fulfill our purpose, to do what we came here to do. Yeah, true boundary. Thank you all. This is so sweet. Anyone else want to share from the meditation or just from the dialogue, anything else that's coming up? So then, if there's no one else who wants to share.
Join the meeting.
Oops, who came in? Oh, David's back. Thank you, David. Thanks for coming back. You're very persistent. That's good. So the question in that description that I didn't read first, because I just wanted to focus on the first lines, but the question is, how are you experiencing your own awakening from the dream that we have been dreaming for millennia? Because this has been going on for a long time. How are you experiencing your awakening? What are you noticing? Martina?
Sorry, I have to head off now, but thank you so much for an amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. Will we see you tomorrow? Oh, yes. Okay. Awesome.
Go 6 times a day.
Have a great day. Okay, so how are you experiencing this from in your own world, or even from a bigger perspective? I'm sure that whatever, okay, Sari?
I can always share. Don't want to fill the whole space, but immediately what I feel is because it gives so much joy. So each level is like a high, it does feel like a higher vibration. And for me, like the heart center, like the upper part of the heart is like the joy place. So it's so, it's also as if I meet so many like-minded people. It's so beautiful. I'm so blessed with so here where I live, you know, like this resonance. Which sort of enhances then this stream of hope, like, you know, indeed together we can, and more people are awakening, like yeah. And also this group is part of that. It's like, oh, it's like this attraction of like-minded people or like vibrating people. So to me, what comes to my mind is also, and I experienced this in ceremony also with movement medicine. We were in ceremony, the winter dream dance. So it's really for receiving the dreams and having visions to, yeah, for what wants to be dreamt through you. And at one point, and it's many years ago, I so experienced just witnessing the dancers. Like the community heart is opening. And I felt like that's another level of the heart, is the community heart is opening. Of course, first our hearts need to, you know, the individual hearts need to open. And then the community heart opens, and it's amazing. And this year I said at the solstice fire that I did here, we were also saying our intentions, among other things. And I said, like, yeah, I really feel like that's my purpose, like the community heart. And these communities, you know, more communities are how do you say it? You know, they're rising out of the ground. You know, people coming together. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I experience it. Not so much as yeah, it's personal, but the same thing. It's really a field, and that's also how I understand that the Earth is evolving, like into. Now I don't know the English word for that, but that sign that is it Sagittarius that we're moving into, and I heard that it's all about communication and community. Like as before, it was more about individuality, but now we're moving into this community, and which is indeed like amplifying. If we come together, it's
Totally. Well, that's beautiful. Seeing the transformation, the beginnings of the transformation from the old to the new. From what doesn't necessarily serve life all the time to what does serve life all the time. And just like Kavika's new commitment to herself, nothing is entering my womb that isn't pure. Nothing is entering my heart that isn't pure. Nothing is entering my space that isn't pure. And we attract more purity to us, and it amplifies purity just by holding that intention. And certainly purity is needed now. And there's been, especially I think among the women, there has been a fear about showing your purity, because there's vulnerability there. And we've talked about vulnerability almost in every day this week. And what has come to me is that, and this is, well, it's up, so I guess I'll say it because it's for a reason. But when children, especially female children, but both, are sexually abused, it is because there is a longing for a return to innocence, and it's unconscious. And the people who perpetuate that are void of that, their own sense, their own connection to that innocence, and they must possess it. So they see it and it sparks something in them that needs to possess it. And so and the more we open to receive that innocence and are willing to be vulnerable, because that is the feminine aspect of each of us that receives. The receiving end of the equation is the feminine. So yeah, that, I mean, as we reclaim that innocence, that need to possess innocence will be a moot point. And I'm really looking forward to that day. So, Sarah, I would love to hear your share.
Well, a lot of what I was going to say has already been said. Sorry.
No.
I love being in places, we call it one mind, you know, where everybody's saying the same things. So a lot of what I was going to say was what you were saying about community and just this massive sense of everywhere I go, it is the same conversation, not in any way a boring way, always exciting, always new, always. And so, for example, one thing, like somebody else said just now, I'm so sorry, love, I should know your name. You were speaking.
That's okay.
No, it was Kavika. It was you who was speaking, and you said, you know, how transformational this week had been, and just today with the conversation and then what was happening in the meditation, I had a tremendous insight into something very, very healing. So thank you, love, because actually that doesn't happen that often anymore, you know, and so it's of note for me. Really very healing and very kind of, oh, why didn't I notice that before? You know, one of those. And now something which I can really go on to do something about, not in a therapy way, just get out there and do it. And it's actually about here, this place here. So it's so powerful. And it came through when you said about the Trail of Tears. I suddenly realized, and it's so obvious, I live on a battlefield of quite a lot of 100 years ago. I don't know. I need, you know, I don't need to go back into all the detail of it, but it was big, and I've never really consciously gone and done anything about that. And yet, in 1999, I was very much with those energies without realizing it. And actually, I need to, you know, that's really helpful. So when you were saying that you actually were with all that without realizing what it was, conscious, you know, knowing what it was, that's what it just made tremendous sense for me right now. And then yesterday I've been offered the Munaki initiations, the Viloldo initiations. You just pass them on. Friends, you know, by a friend is just passing them on. And yesterday was Earth Keeper, and it's just like being with you and being with this and being dreamed. You know, everything has the timing, and then I. And like you were saying, sorry, you're sitting around a solstice fire, and we did the, you know, the intentioning and the drumming and the loving together, and just being so grateful for all the people that are in our lives, just like in our lives, have been in our lives all these years. And it's like at the moment we're able to just be even more, as you say, innocent, connected together. And for me, there's a real sense of gratitude when it's men and women together as well. That's actually very important to me. Yes. But I also value what we can be when we were just women together, you know, both. And so this was very much a men and women together, and those energies together with such respect and so much of going forward. And then I've been doing more intentionally myself. And then I just feel like the last few days and this week it's bringing everything in immediately. I was saying to my friend, well, at the moment I'm manifesting within 3 days. You know, it's like everything is, you know, new people. Yeah, it's like really, you know, the things that I identified as being really, really important have been happening in these calls. and you know, and the people and the themes, and yeah, of what's most important for me to be offering in the next year or so. So it's really amazing. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And
Hmm.
going back to what you said about the Trail of Tears piece, what I've learned in my healing practice for the last 2 decades is that people are much more easily able to let go of their pain once it has been witnessed and acknowledged and validated, that suffering has been validated. And that was true for Mother Earth. That pain could not be released until it had been acknowledged and validated. And as in this case, I did that. Evidently, I volunteered on a level I wasn't aware of. But as I did that, it was able to release. So any of the healing that we do for the mother, it's important that we acknowledge that pain, that she is, that suffering, that she has been enduring for so long. And the part of, she needs her daughters to speak for her, because her daughters are the only ones who can really understand what she's been through. Because we've experienced it too. Maybe not to the same extent. I mean, the mother is huge, and proportionately the desecration is huge with her. But there's no small desecration. I mean, there's no measurement of magic. There's no real measurement of desecration. Any desecration is desecration. So acknowledging that piece, I think it's important for the healing, for the depth of the healing, to acknowledge it and validate it before it's cleared, in order for it to be fully cleared. Because if it hasn't been witnessed and validated and acknowledged, the depth of the healing doesn't go to the core, and it will keep coming up again. Yeah. And we want it cleared.
Yeah, I think that came up in one of the calls. I don't know if it was here, but like pulling the root out, digging the whole root out of a plant. It's like that's some of our work at the moment. We're the ones that are able to go in there and kind of get that all out, and with a whole load of love, and then you can replant, can't you?
That's right. That's right. And if you've noticed, for any of you who have done a fair amount of gardening, we know that when we water the root that needs to come out, it comes out easier. So the water going in, the emotional flow and the acknowledgement of that, the water eases the extraction, if you will, and the transmutation. So that's valuable for all of us to, there's so many metaphors. Nature shows us everything we need to know. And when we begin to see her as ourselves, we can take that in and move forward with it. If we see nature as separate, we don't always make the correlation to ourselves.
May I share?
Oh, of course you may.
So it's 2 parts, but it's the same. Something I've noticed happening with me, and probably with many others, is I actually become my consciousness is the consciousness, like some examples, one day of a hummingbird, like last year. I was a hummingbird, and the hummingbird looked at me, and the hummingbird was me. And there was no thought in it. we were the same consciousness. One day I happened with a tree like that was up on a hillside. I still see that tree. That tree and I merged as the same consciousness. A crow one day getting ready for winter in the field, and he was telling the other crows, I think, well, you better get ready, it's going to be cold. But I became that crow, and that crow is me, and I can't like make it happen. It just happens.
Yeah.
But we're all the same consciousness. Of nature is of the same consciousness, and when you connect with that, maybe that's the innocence. Like nature knows that it's all part of itself and it's connected. That there's that level of, it's hard to do desecration if you know you're doing it to yourself or to that. Yeah, and then with like the Trail of Tears, and because I live in Virginia, and the Civil War battlefields, and like how you said, lots of things were left unresolved and it wasn't recognized. The suffering wasn't recognized to be released. And that goes in to when you're at that higher state of or when you're at that one consciousness, when you're aware of that, you can consciously pull in and connect with the earth and use that to help transmute that energies. And like with what happened with you, maybe you didn't know what you were doing, right? You didn't know what was going on at that time. But when we know, then it's even more powerful because we can assist it.
That's right.
You know, so even if, so you can consciously go to a place, say if you were to go on part of the Trail of Tears again, it stretches across the country, the walk anyway, you could consciously pull in that consciousness and work with the earth and acknowledge the people consciously to release even more. Because I feel we just have to keep releasing and releasing and releasing till everything's at that level. And then I think sobbing uncontrollably or feeling empathy or not knowing, is this all mine or not? It probably isn't, because it helps clear the collective.
That's right.
And you can ripple it back in past. When that happens, it ripples back to the past generations, it ripples to the forward generations, because there is sort of like the only the here now. And that's how the past can be altered. It doesn't go away, but the energy of it becomes altered.
Because
And
the
I think Sarah talked of the Earth Keeper. So I'm in this evolution. I start course Sunday, actually tomorrow. A level 3 where there's pillars of light is working with that consciousness and pull that energy. And then the other one in February is the Earth Keeper level 3, where you can literally go in and sense the energy of a place and pull in what's needed to reactivate those earth grids and those nodal points that have been desecrated or forgotten about. So that's all connected. And then I just wanted to add, there's a couple things this afternoon, or it'll be the evening for people in Europe. It's at 1600 and 1700 Universal Time, 1 and 2 p.m. here Eastern Time. I don't know if you know Dana Toramiso, but she's doing with Gary Melka an energetic grid activation with the whales, realigning with the energetic grid activation of the whales. And it's from 1:10 to 2 p.m. today, but it's in the 7 days of rest. And then Karina Whitefeather at 2 p.m. has been doing the call of remembrance, which was exactly what you were talking about. And each day, the theme of each day is to connect to the remembrance of that. So it's amazing. And I think Sarah was talking about it. You know, how everyone's talking about the same thing everywhere, but a different conversation and not boring. It is an awakening of that consciousness, that we're all that one consciousness. And I just feel the more people that do it, then that ripples out, past, present, future. there. I'm complete.
Yes, yes. Wow. Yeah. It's so powerful. Events like this are, and there's more and more of them happening. And they're part of this awakening. I mean, that's part of the plan. And it's happening. It was already starting before the whole COVID piece, but now since COVID, it has multiplied immensely. And so again, seems like it's negative, but oh my gosh, turned into a positive. So it's all good. Yeah.
Well, what was interesting about COVID, just real quick there, it brought all these Zoom rooms together across the
Exactly.
planet, because that's when I really got merged with like the connection field and people. It never would have happened if it went to bed for COVID and I didn't have a car for months and there I was at home, you know? So I don't know, in a way, COVID brought that about. And who knows if COVID was engineered or planned by whatever or not, but it backfired because now we're more connected than ever for
Yeah.
whatever reason, good or bad.
And it doesn't matter if the outcome is good, you know, it's part of the process. And it's like, it reminds me, this whole COVID thing it reminds me of, they thought they could bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. It's the same thing. And because we are seeds, we are always generating new potential. Yeah. So, anyone else want to talk about your experience of your awakening and how it's impacting you? And, or even it could be what you feel you need, something that might be missing for your next level of awakening. Sounds like all of us are getting what we need. As long as we're open for it and asking for it, it's coming. And that's the beauty of the magnification of, and the acceleration. It's a magnification and acceleration together. It's we, what do I want to say? I guess it's just more prevalent to us, more obvious to us, and we are responding more easily to it. The days
I
of
think
not
like
trusting our
exponential,
systems.
it's exponential growth at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just building and building and yeah.
That's sweet, Kavika. Yeah, it's like I said, we're on the other side of that ring past knot, and we can't go backwards. Who would want to go backwards at this point? Joe's leaving. Thank you, Joe. Is there anything you want to say first before you go? Nope. Sarah, you have to go too? Okay. All right. Thank you. What time is it? Oh, wow. It's it seemed like we just barely got started. Okay. I need to be, I guess my need is better time management. I get out of time and space, and time is irrelevant. Well, thank you. Thank all three of you for being here and hanging out and sticking through even when I go over. Any final closings before we do a closing? I mean, final messages? Thank you, Susan.
I just want to, yeah, thank you very much, Deborah. And I would, if you continue, please let me know. I sent my my email again, and I always get so much from this, and I feel bad I lost connection with you, but I was so glad to reconnect.
Oh, I was
Um,
happy to see your
sure.
name up there. Yes.
Yeah. So it's just been very valuable, and I don't mind that you go over. I set aside time, like with the 7 days of rest, you know, it's different for everyone, but people find their path through it. Like
Right.
there's only so much I can do in one day, and yours is always on the list. So, and I'll be here tomorrow. I have to work in the afternoon, but I'll see you tomorrow also.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, have a good day. Thanks.
Thanks, you too, Susan. Bye. Okay. So we'll do the closing. Use your breath. Invite the air element and all the resources that he carries. He is a conduit for the unified field and our connection to that unified field. We breathe it into ourselves every day through the diligence of the air, the constancy of the air. So as we breathe in all that we need in this moment, with the bubbling up of even more streams of gratitude coming up through our being, let's let all that gather in the heart. And then as the heart rhythm pulsates that throughout our whole being, feel it going into all of our parts and down into our womb. And every part of us is filled with everything that we need. And as the air brings the fire into all the places where that fire is needed, and carries it through our inner waters for the next level of purification. And our waters open gently and lovingly to receive this beautiful light of innocence and purity that is purifying in and of itself. That merger, that sacred conception happens within us, within our whole being. And love is birthed. Feel into that. Feel what those qualities of love feel like for you. And tap into that dream that we have been waiting to awaken. That we truly know this level of divine love here on earth as ourselves and each other and all life. Every time we move into nature, or even look at nature, look into nature through the window, that dream is awakening in us. Every time we look at a beautiful sunset and just go into that space of awe, that dream is awakening. Every time we look into the eyes of a child and are reminded of our own innocence, that dream is awakening. Every moment is an opportunity for a seed to germinate and for that potential to be released. And as we open to more and more potential, the likelihood of our stepping into that potential increases exponentially. Feel all of that happening inside you in this moment. Infinite resources with infinite potential. And what is absolute truth is that those resources and that potential are germinating all of these seeds when they come together. Just like light and the waters coming together to create love, to birth love, more and more on this planet, until all that's left is gratitude and love. We are in absolute appreciation for this entire process and what we call the good and the bad, until we know the difference between what serves life and what doesn't serve life. We don't have the potential to step into where we're now stepping into. And when we bring what serves life and what doesn't serve life together, bring the ends of that continuum together and bring it full circle, we return to oneness instantly. That is your truth. That is who you are. That is the trajectory for all human beings. And I thank you for having the courage and the willingness to lead that journey, to be a way show, to open yourself, to feel tremendous pain for the greater good. And the moment that pain has brought us into our potential, we transcend the need for pain and suffering as a messenger. And we can do that. We have earned that right. We can do that in any moment. This is our initiation to say, okay, I don't need to hold on to pain and suffering to learn ever again. Because I have stepped into a frequency where I can simply plug into the unified field and know whatever it is that I need to know in any given moment. It's like the internet at its best. That internal connection to that light network. It has always been part of our nervous system, and now it becomes consciously a part of our nervous system. The entire web of life and the light that is within it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We thank the cosmos for setting up everything that we have experienced to bring us to this moment in time that is pure divine perfection. And now we can appreciate that pure divine perfection because we've had the contrast and we've received the messages and we now are awake. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessed be. And so it is. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow, and maybe I'll mention this earlier before people have to leave, especially if I end up going over again. But I'll mention it that anyone who wants to continue can stay on, and I'll stop the recording, and we'll have a conversation about setting up a time and a frequency and see what serves everyone. Okay.
Wonderful.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. See you tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.